Okay, so my special guest for tonight, of course, he is the Chief Collaborations Officer of Prasaga. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Jay Moore. So Jay, thank you very much.
Glad to be here. It's exciting times.
Okay, so before we begin, could you say hello to our amazing subscribers and viewers here who are watching us right now on YouTube?
Yeah, actually, I'm. It's interesting. I keep saying to everybody around me, "Get me on YouTube," and I'm very excited to have this be basically my premiere. I've done other sessions that are up on YouTube, but never directly right here with an audience, and it's exciting. So I'm Jay Moore. I've done a few things in my life, but nothing as exciting as what we're doing with Prasaga. One of the things I was known for in one of my 12 startups that I've done was called Garage Games. And there I got to be the evangelist, got to coin the phrase indie games, an indie game developer. Didn't exist until we came along and launched the first AAA game engine, the Torque game engine, and made it so that anybody could make a game of the kind of caliber that used to cost $1 million to basically license the technology. So we opened up an entire movement. There were over 250,000 developers in our community when we got acquired by a big New York company, and it was very exciting. I mean, I got the opportunity to meet and help catalyze an entire industry and a movement, and in a lot of ways, this feels very similar in that we're trying to build a very large community around what we're doing at Prasaga. But now it's all about the blockchain, and there'll be game stuff. Believe me, they can't resist bringing in some of that. But a lot of it's going to be, enterprise and regulatory technology. We're going to put voting on the blockchain. Lots of exciting stuff. But at the end of the day, it's empowering the planet to have a better future, and I'm excited about that. Blockchain is at this really pivotal time where it's either going to fail or it's going to succeed. And I think what we're bringing to the table helps to push it towards that success that we see that blockchain can be.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jay, for sharing to us about yourself and, of course, on how you're getting started in the crypto, blockchain, and DeFi space. Now, could you share to us about the mission and vision of Prasaga?
Sure. So it helps to get a little bit of context of how we got started here. We were working on what you would call IoT smart city. We're working to try and make sure that all the data that's in different silos could communicate, so that the smart lights would talk to the smart meters, and the smart ambulance could control the smart traffic lights, etc. All of the ecosystem could be able to communicate and not be siloed into different data centers. And what we were able to do is build our own message bus. It's standard now. You see it in Signal and WhatsApp and other architectures that are secure end-to-end for encrypting messages. And we thought, okay, if we can put that on the blockchain, then we can enable people to own their own data, be able to sell it across the blockchain from all the sensors and everything that they've got going, and we can make a data marketplace out of that. And that seemed really ambitious to us until we raised enough money that our investors sat us down and they said, so you can scale your message server, but how are you going to find a blockchain that will scale to what you're trying to do? And we went, what do you mean? Everybody's saying they're going to do that. Yeah, we know probably IOTA won't do it, but there's Ethereum, there's all these guys that say they're going to be able to scale. And they said, yeah, we're not so sure about that. So we did about 4 months of heavy duty research, looked at every project, and sure enough, we found that all of them had fundamental issues as far as really scaling. So we had to sit down and say, what? We got to build our own blockchain. And that is a whole nother scope in terms of what you're going to try to accomplish. We've done it. We've got the patents in play for protecting it, so that when we bring it out to give it away to the community, nobody can say they own any piece of it. We've been able to build a proof of concept, or actually the test net over on Hyperledger for our main function, which is called XBOM, which that's just the operating system that's going to run on the blockchain. So think of that as the same thing you had on your smartwatch or on your phone or on your computer. You've got an operating system that allows you to do lots of things that if you have to be at the command line is very, very difficult. And right now, it's kind of like we're at the command line. Sometimes I say it's like when you're, and I'm sure nobody in your audience was around before there was Windows, but back in the day when we were getting started, everything ran one application at a time. You could only have one thing going at any one time. And then Windows came along and we could do lots of things at the same time. And that's kind of where we're going to be at with what we're doing with the blockchain. We're making some fundamental changes. There's no longer any smart contracts. Everything's stored in your account. So you own all of the assets that are in your account, whether it's a certified title to your car or it would be the tokens that you have. They're not stored in a smart contract that you're referencing. They're actually in your account, and you can see them right in your account. And because all that state is in the account, we can move your account from network node to network node to achieve parallelization. That's the big secret sauce. We'll talk more.
Okay, so that is a pretty interesting mission and vision you have for Prasaga, Jay. So thank you very much for sharing. Now, on to the next question. Now, could you explain to our viewers and subscribers here about the real and positive use cases of Prasaga, especially your competitive advantages and benefits for users like me?
Yeah, well, and it starts with the developers, right? So a lot of times people think we're going to build all this. Well, it's enough just to build the blockchain. Then we're going to recruit a whole ecosystem of developers to be building the things that you're going to be playing with. But the reason it's going to be better on our architecture is it's going to be easier. You're going to be able to write in any language to our operating environment and not have to be just like in Solidity trying to build a smart contract. You're going to be able to work in the development. Think of it as like for iOS and the smartphone, or for Android, people don't always work in the same development space. I mean, in my world, they all work in Unity or Unreal, the game engines, to build what they're doing. And that's going to be the case. You're going to be able to work in what you're most able to bring the best applications out on. The other thing we do is we publish all the code on the blockchain. So as people write code, if they want to share it with everybody else, and we've got a licensing architecture for that, then they're going to be able to use everybody else's code, kind of like in the open source space, but it's all going to be live running on the blockchain. That'll make it so it'll be that much faster for them to be able to get their applications to market, because they're going to be able to take and basically get lift from all the other developers that are working on our platform. They're going to be able to borrow their innovations, and I think that's going to make it that much faster to be able to get. So we're fast in the sense that we scale fast and we're fast for development. But I think the most important thing is going to be ease of use. It's going to be really easy to use our blockchain. And that means that they can focus on making the applications. So you're not having to worry about, oh, this is doing this or whatever on blockchain. So, everything from, being able to trade on a lot of the things that are now being done in DeFi will be done in an easier format for developers to support, because there's going to be more functionality built into the blockchain. So, for example, you may look at a trading app, and right now, if you were going to try and build a portfolio there that you fractionalize across multiple owners, that's native to how we build our marketplace. So our marketplace just naturally does that. You don't have to go figure out how you're going to fractionalize the ownership of those assets. It's just built into the ecosystem. So that's maybe a hard one to wrap your head around, because how many of us have Uber cars that we want to give everybody a piece of ownership in to be able to have my fleet of autonomous cars be something that you can have a piece of. But that's the kind of applications we're going to see. I think one of the most important ones, and one that we're working, we've talked to the SEC, we've talked to the EU, and that's going to be in the regulatory technology space. It's going to be everything from your ability to have your identity on the internet inside the blockchain, and be able to have that be recognized around the world. But also, you're going to be able to certify that you can issue stock and you can meet all of, in the US, they call it the SEC compliance. But for whatever country and whatever jurisdiction you're in, we're going to be able to give those certifications. So at at a and Hester Pierce, the crypto mom of SEC, when we were explaining it to her, she said, "Oh," and this is definitely a U.S. She said, "You're like the TSA pre-check for regulatory compliance on the blockchain." We said, "Can I quote you on that?" That was a great way to express it, because you're getting a fast pass to basically get through, let's just say, customs, and get all the check marks that you need to have to be in compliance with the regulations that are out there. We believe that the more we make that efficient and make it so everybody can do it quickly, the better you're going to be able to get your company started and be able to raise capital and do all the things you need to be able to do. That's going to allow entrepreneurs to go much faster, because the blockchain will support them in it, rather than them having to spend, well, they'll still have to have attorneys, but they won't have to spend as much time. Kind of like LegalZoom or DocuSign, they all make it faster to get things done. And those are going to be the same thing we do for the blockchain on regulation. Being able to vote online, all of those initiatives that we see people building applications around are going to be much easier to do for what we're doing. The other two things, I'll just say them real quickly. One is that we've built what we believe is the ultimate security against attack. It's a hybrid. If anybody knows about proof of work, which is how Bitcoin does its encryption and consensus, versus proof of stake, which is where we see Ethereum going. We're doing a hybrid of that, because we need to have. We'll use the hash power of the proof of stake to make proof of work that much more efficient, so we don't spend as much energy to get the same outcome as like Bitcoin does. But we're going to have the security at a foundational level that, and I don't want to put too hard a point on it, but proof of stake on its own will fail. It is too vulnerable to attack. There's too many attack vectors. Where over the next 10 years, we're not going to see anybody who's only proof of stake having some issues. We live in that world. We know what that looks like. So it's important from our side of it to make sure that we're going to be ruggedly prepared for all of the, I call them the currency wars, but that's really what we're going to have in the future. People trying to attack us because we're being used as a currency in the market. And that's my last point. We've got a monetary policy that will take us from being a great token to invest in to start. Will be deflationary like a lot of other tokens. We're going to have this big vision of what we're doing, so lots of people are going to come on board. But over the next 8 to 10 years, we're going to convert to being a inflationary token, which means that will be great to be buying stuff with, because it's not going to have the volatility that it will have an internal regulatory architecture for burning and minting that allows us to be built on what we call the digital GDP, the actual transactions that are going on the blockchain. So rather than a lot of people are doing stable coins where they're making a basket of commodities or whatever that they're putting up against fiat currencies, we will not be pegged against externalities. We'll be pegged against the actual throughput and transactions that are going on the data grid blockchain. And that's an important distinction. There are going to be a lot of economists involved in making sure that we're able to set that economic policy correctly. But at the end of the day, it'll make us a better currency to be used for transactions than what we're seeing in current crypto.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jay, for sharing to us about the real and positive use cases of Prasaga, especially its competitive advantages and benefits. So I hope you guys who are watching our video right now are learning coming from our guest speaker. Okay, now speaking of those advantages and benefits, now could you share about some sort of achievements that you have from the very beginning until now, Jay, for Prasaga?
Well, it's interesting. We in that moment of truth where we realized, oh, we're going to have to build our own blockchain. Our CTO's actually written a good chunk of the internet protocols that we're using to do what we're doing right now. He's also helped to do a lot of hardware architecture. So he's got both a software engineering and a hardware side. And I can sit and talk about him all day long. But one of the major ahas we had was actually Easter morning 2019, was that smart contracts are always going to have to be serialized in order to get them resolved and not have a double spend event. Just the way they're architected makes them so that they don't work in parallel well, because you have to get one done before you know that you're not actually spending that same money on the next one. And so what we were able to come up with was this XBOM, or it's a fairly technical thing, but it's called the Extensible Blockchain Object Model. And it's the same technology that Park Research came out with, that was used in OS2, which was an IBM operating system, was used by Steve Jobs on Next, and then that actually went into OS 10 as we know it, is on your phone for iOS, and actually a big chunk of it was used for Microsoft Windows. They just took out the part that IBM would sue them for, so they didn't use that part. But that same technology, every operating system except for basically Linux uses this Windows class tree architecture, and we brought that now onto the blockchain. So I mean, I kind of already mentioned this because we're so excited about it, but getting it working and showing it working over on Hyperledger, and we've been in discussions with the people that are behind Hyperledger, like IBM and Oracle and those kind of guys. They got very excited about how what we're doing, even in something that it's a permission chain, there's nobody going to put a token out on it, which means that it kind of protected us to do our own blockchain and tokenize it ourselves. But that showing that was working was proof that our overall advantages that I've been talking about are going to work. And when you're developing these things, you go from believing you've got it designed right and it works, the math works on paper, to actually seeing it work in the wild, and that's a whole different level of excitement, because now everything you've been saying to everybody that's going to do, it's doing it. Well, as one part, it doesn't really take advantage of the scaling piece until it's on our blockchain, because with a permission chain, you don't have those same issues in terms of everybody. You don't have the consensus issues that you have on a permissionless chain. But I digress. Well, that one thing we do know we'll be able to do, but just based on the fact that we've done it in other projects before, so we know it's going to work.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jay, for sharing to us about the recent achievements you have so far from the very beginning until now for Prasaga. And aside from those achievements, by the way, I know you guys have some challenges as well. Now,
sure.
Could you share about the recent challenges that you have and how you guys cope up with that?
Well, I'll get real specific. We had an email challenge with our pre-sale where the way it got configured was ending up in people's spam folders, which it's kind of embarrassing, because we're supposed to be really good at that stuff, and it just was one little thing that we didn't get right. And of course, we weren't spamming. Everybody had joined into KYC. They'd been approved to buy our tokens, and then they were not being able to get the email that told them how to do it. And that, personally, I thought we'd done everything right and we checked all the boxes, but we found, actually, it wasn't until we were answering all these people saying, "Why can't I find this?" And we said, "Well, check your spam folder," and they were fine. We're like, okay. And then we looked back, and we were seeing most people were having that problem, not just a few, because that can happen for other reasons. But when you do it, when you make that, so that was a challenge. Where we've made it so that anybody was through KYC on the end of pre-sale is going to be able to come in once they get the email in their hands and be able to participate with us. So that's, it's a little hiccup, that kind of thing. The best plans sometimes don't go perfect. The one I think that's the bigger challenge from a kind of a global standpoint, and that's why I'm here talking to you actually, is that we just need to get the word out. We need to have people understand, one, what we're doing, and then two, how to come alongside and work with us to make this happen. Right now, we're still building the blockchain. So we're working with people to learn how we work, because they can go over onto Hyperledger, download our open source software there, and get a good sense of how it's going to be to this is a different way to do things. It's not going to have all the pretty tools and everything yet, but it will have the core functionality that the developers specifically need to get their designs around so that they understand, oh, it takes care of all that. All we have to do is the part we need to do. And then the next phase, we'll have some announcements to make around being able to get people to or get developers so that they can share their code with other developers and still get some royalty fees off of that. And that's a platform that I guess I'm teasing a little bit, but we're going to announce in this next quarter the specifics of that people can come and participate before the blockchain's ever out. They'll be able to start monetizing the technologies that they're building.
Okay, so at least have you shared to us, Jay, about the challenges that you're facing and how you guys cope up with that. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys are learning as well. Now, this next question of mine is one of those that the communities in crypto, especially in Prasaga, are looking forward to. So my question right now is, could you share about the future plans that you have for the community on Prasaga?
Yeah, actually, thanks. I mean, the Philippines is actually an area where very near and dear to our heart because part of our original raise that we did being over in, I spent some time over in Southeast Asia, and we were in Thailand at Chiang Mai, and then we were over in Vietnam. I didn't get down to the Philippines, even though we were trying to get there. We spent some time in Singapore, but the number of teams that I've been able to work with, both for software development, and I've had personal assistants that have been out of the Philippines, have gotten me so that I really appreciate the Filipino people in a number of ways. That it's not just their joy of life and the amount of enthusiasm they bring to things, but they're innovators. And I think I can't express that strongly enough, because there are other cultures that we get into where they're great if we tell them everything we need them to do, and then they'll go do it. But if we need them to if we just set out a goal, this is what we're trying to accomplish. In my experience with Filipino teams, they'll figure it out. I mean, we'll give them some direction, but if they come up against something where we haven't told them exactly what to do, they won't wait for us to come back and tell them the next step. They'll go figure it out. And that's the kind of innovation I see really essential for the blockchain. So what we're doing is called the Data Grid Collaborative, and it's a way in which we can help each of our communities have both a global way to connect and look at opportunities and look at how they could bring product to market. Also, a localized approach where we're identifying key areas where we're going to put what we call labs. So they're going to be Data Grid Collaborative labs. And those will be networked up with the local ecosystem. Other blockchain incubators, accelerators will be doing meetups in where it's appropriate. If it isn't already existing and we can't partner with it, we may even build out spaces where the people can do co-working, et cetera. Our goal is to not try and build this big organization. The goal is to empower people to get stuff done. So, if there's something missing, we'll help to make that happen, and we'll also bring funding and capital to the projects that are being developed in the Philippines, and not only can we expose those teams to what the potential is that's out there, so that they already know what the appetite in the market is, but we can also help them with how it is they can be successful to scale their own small companies, and that's a lot about just having the playbook right out of Silicon Valley of how to get this stuff done, in addition to, how to make blockchain projects be successful as well. So we're excited to be doing that. The first lab that we ever identified on the planet was in the Philippines. Our primary expression of it right now is in our Telegram group. I think there's almost 1,000 people, last I checked, in that group, and they're supporting us in lots of ways. One, they're teaching me how to have fun with tipping bots and contests and stuff. It was all new to me. I'd seen it happen in other communities, but I wasn't sure how it all worked, and I'm learning so much. But the other part they're doing is to just support us in terms of helping us with our pre-sale, getting the word out to the Filipino people like yourself, getting the traders and the token holders that want to be part of our project aware of us, and then obviously, fundamentally we want to be in communication with the developers. Miners are great, but developers are the people that we know we need to have, especially coming out of the Philippines.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jay. Okay, for sharing to us about the future plans of Prasaga in the next few years, especially right here in the Philippines. And of course, aside from the future plans, do you also have some exciting updates and some spoilers to share for the community and those who are watching our video right now on YouTube, no matter where you are in the world?
I tried to tell everybody, but in case you didn't hear, yesterday we were able to announce that Excavo, the individuals, it's actually a full team of analysts and traders and educators, that they've come along to partner with us to basically help teach all of our community how to be the best traders that they can be, and have that as just a core competency that allows everybody to have another passive income that they can make money work for them instead of having to work for money. And my dad was actually a stockbroker, so I grew up in a trader household. So I'll have to admit and confess that I'm looking forward to going through their training, because everything my dad tried to teach me, I only think I got about 10% of it. And you know how it is. Sometimes you can hear your parents and sometimes you can't. I learned a lot. I've got a lot of great context, but I need to know how it's going to apply to crypto, how to deal with futures, how to deal with shorts and longs and all that stuff, so that I'm in a place where I've got the ability to watch one of these YouTube personalities and understand what it is they're saying. Because right now, a lot of times when they talk about the curves and all the different vocabulary they use, I think I'm listening to another language. But that's exciting from another standpoint, because he's not only rated as the #1 crypto trader, he's rated as the #5 advisor to projects. And it's getting those types of people giving us the kind of feedback and information we need to know from everything else that they've learned. And we've got some other advisors. Actually, I think I'm going to have 2 more advisors I can announce they're pretty big deals. Not so much YouTube personalities as much as they just know their stuff when it comes to crypto. I'm going to be able to announce those in our AMA on the 19th. I'm excited. We're really close on those. I never like to get ahead of myself, because things change, and until you have everything signed, you have to be cautious. But once I get permission to tell everybody, I'll definitely be filling you guys in on that.
That is some pretty exciting update that you have for us, especially for the Prasaga community. Okay, and for those of you who are watching us right now on YouTube, okay, so I hope you've learned something coming from Jay. Okay, thank you very much for that. Oh, and speaking of the AMA you've just mentioned, I heard that you have a surprise for the Filipino community, okay, about the AMA. So
Yeah,
could you share it to us right now?
I can't tell you now, because it's going to be a surprise on the 19th. We're going to be actually at, and I just have to double check, we have 3 p.m. UTC, but 11 p.m. In Filipino time. We're going to be on with you guys doing an AMA. And at that point, I'll be able to reveal some exciting news that we have. Some of it's going to be, a lot like what we said yesterday. We're going to give 9.75% farming yield, annual farming yield on our DeFi. And we're going to follow that up with more details about our DeFi as we're rolling that out, but also specifically to the Philippines and what's going on with our community there. So I'm excited. And I'll be honest, I've got to confirm what I'm wanting to announce to make sure that I've got permission again, because I'm the guy that likes to go tell everybody before I'm supposed to. So I'm gonna go double check. But yeah, on the 19th at 11 p.m. Filipino time, I think we're gonna have some exciting things to talk about. I know we are, but maybe not everything in my head I'll be able to tell you. Unless I kill you, right? That line.
Okay, so for those of you Filipinos who are watching us right now, now you've heard it from Jay, of course, about our upcoming AMA session this coming February 19th. So that will be 11 p.m. Philippines time. Okay, so our AMA, by the way, guys, it will be on Facebook Live. So it will be on Nomad Fury Facebook page. So all the details, of course, stay tuned for that. You should be excited, okay? You should be excited for the AMA.
That'll be my first time on Facebook Live as well. So you're just making all of my firsts. I'm no longer going to be a virgin. Thank you.
And just to make you guys excited, of course, there will be giveaways. There will be giveaways, guys. Yes. So there's a good reason why you should participate in our video AMA this Friday, 11 p.m. Philippines time. Okay, so that will be on Nomad Fury Facebook page. Okay. All right. So we're excited for that, Jay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. So now let's go to our final question. Okay. Now, could you share to our subscribers and viewers who are watching us right now on YouTube on why they should be checking out Prasaga right now? Like, what is it for us and for them if we are going to grab some tokens from you? Like, for example, I have seen Prasaga for the first time. So could you tell me why should I grab it right now?
Well, obviously I'm biased because I know how big things are going to get. We're really early. We're doing something that's called on Balancer, and we're working on getting the dates set right now, called liquidity bootstrap pool, which it's a lot of words, but it really I'm referring to as our price discovery pool, because what it allows us to do is over a period of hours, we keep adding more of the DGT to the weight, and that makes the price come down. So you don't want to invest too soon. You want to wait till it's at kind of that sweet spot. But when you start to see a lot of other people come in, then you know that's probably what we're going to be trading at. And there have been some LBPs that have come out and sold like 65 million in the first 20 minutes because it started at a price everybody thought was very compelling for that project. We don't want anybody to spend too much, so we're saying, watch it for a minute before you come in. But the cool thing is you don't have to compete with the bots or the whales because there's no manipulation of what we're doing. It allows humans to actually say, this is what we believe this token is worth. So yeah, do your research, look at what we're doing. I mean, our pre-sale was at 0.005, so half a penny. And just think about, with everything we've got done, the patents, the work we're doing on XBOM over on Hyperledger, what does that look like in terms of a project where we're at and how much is that worth? And, we're expecting you guys to tell us, because, we know what we think it is. We've done a lot of internal modeling, and there's a slide that I sometimes share, but it just shows that without any external speculation in our token, based on what we're doing, we can show 144x return just based on the way our models are built and how the internal rate of growth is going to happen. And that's before we convert from being that deflationary coin I talked about and going over to being an inflationary. So we like to say we're the token you're going to want to invest in, and then you're going to be the token, the currency that you're going to want to invest with in the future. And that's the migration we're going to take people through. So there's a limited time that's going to be true. And right now, everybody who's come in has been locked up in long-term vesting. So this will be the first time you can actually go buy our tokens on the open market and have them liquid to trade at any time. Even our pre-sales are locked up for 91 days from the time we come out on DeFi. So it's an exciting thing. Obviously, with the 9.75% annual, we think you're going to want to keep that in. You're going to want to hold on to those tokens just to get that kind of reward. But beyond that, there's just a lot of pressure on our token to increase in value.
Okay, so at least we've heard from you, Jay, on why should we grab DGT tokens. Okay,
I think I said everything I can without getting into trouble. I should say, I'm not an investment advisor. I can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do, and I'm not an attorney. I just play one on TV. Yeah, so don't take that as investment advice from me. Do your own research, figure out what you think is a good. And obviously, I'm going to be biased about our project, but I have looked at everybody else's. I'll tell you that, and we're definitely a different thing than what you're seeing on DeFi, because I think we're the first major layer one new token that's been launched in a DeFi raise. Even though we'll have a lot of the same functionality in our ERC20, I'm not saying anything about NFTs or collectibles. I'm not talking about that right now.
Okay, so thank you very much for that, Jay. So before we end, could you invite our subscribers and those who are watching us right now on YouTube to check out Prasaga's website, social media channels, etc.? So here you go.
Our goal is to have a very consistent naming, so it's basically Prasaga Official in almost any planet. So that's definitely where our Telegram group is. You can find Prasaga and even the Prasaga Data Grid Collaborative DGC Philippines has official in it as well, and you'll find that link. And so I'd obviously encourage you, because especially if you primarily speak Filipino, that's where they're talking Filipino. And also look for us on Twitter at Prasaga Official. We've just gotten Prasaga Official on Medium. And we're just now getting some of our articles coming out on that. Prasaga.com has all of these links on it, so you can quickly go to Prasaga.com and get to all of our, whether it's Discord or anything you need. And then the last place to point you out is the xbomb.io. And that's especially if you're a developer and you want to get into what we have called GitLab. We used a branch of GitHub since Microsoft bought them. And so we're using a open source GitLab that you can get into through Xbox. Sorry, I've been in gaming too long. Xbomb.io, xbom.io.
Okay, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our special guest for today, Mr. Jay Moore, the Chief Collaborations Officer of Prasaga. So once again, Jay, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been great.
Okay, and I would like also to thank the viewers and subscribers here on YouTube who are tuning to this video. So I hope you guys have learned something from our special guest speaker, Mr. Jay Moore. Okay, so before we end, guys, I would like to invite you once again this Friday on Nomad Fury Facebook page. So Jay Moore is gonna return, okay, as our guest. Okay, so this time it will be a live AMA session and there will be giveaways. So further details will be announced very soon. Okay, so that will be 11 p.m. Philippines time or 3 p.m. UTC. Okay, so stay tuned for that, guys. Okay, so if you think that this interview helps you a lot, of course, kindly don't hesitate or think twice in sharing this video to your crypto, blockchain, and DeFi friends out there. And one more thing, peeps, for to stay notified about my latest videos regarding cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology, and DeFi, just simply smash the like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And you can follow my social media channels right here or in my YouTube description. Okay, so from my freaking home studio, this is Jeff, aka Nomad Fury, and see you all on my next video. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. This has been fantastic. Look forward to seeing everybody on the 19th at 11 p.m. Filipino time. Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you.